morning, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leonie, aka Stitching Noni, and this is my little corner of YouTube. So this is my Flosstube channel where I document my journey with cross stitch. We are back for a weekly update. Today is Tuesday, the 3rd of March 2026. Yep, we're in March. We are in March. So this weekly update, which will cover my stitching from Tuesday the 24th of February through to yesterday, Monday the 2nd of March 2026, will also have a brief wrap up of February, great numbers for February, and a very sort of brief thing about what I want to try and achieve in March. I haven't really thought about my March plans yet, so yeah, February came and went, and usually the last couple of days in the month I start thinking about what I'm going to do for the new month, but yeah, I didn't do that. All of a sudden it was the 28th of February and then it was the 1st of March, and I was like, okay, never mind. So very high level stuff. So really I'm just going to look at some of the challenges that I'm going to try and attempt for around the Facebook challenges and stuff. So we'll see how we go. But anyway, I need to really get going because I have a feeling this could be long, and yeah, I don't want to make it too long, but we'll see how we go. So as I mentioned, today is Tuesday, the 3rd of March. This is our weekly update, and this week we'll have some stitching towards the end of February and a couple of days of March in it, and it's Flosstube number 78 if I didn't mention that already. I'm hoping, I've just turned the aircon on, so it started to get a little bit warm in here. Could have been because I was rushing around trying to do stuff, but also I think we're going back into the 30s. We've had some beautiful days here in Perth the last few days. No aircon, doors open, wind blowing through the house. It's been absolutely wonderful. But we're heading back into the 30s, which we'll talk about when we get into the temperature challenge bit. So we'll leave that with that till then. So, how am I going to do this? Maybe I'll start with the February stats, and then we will go into what I've done for the week a little bit, because it sort of rolls into it itself. So February stats are total stitches for the month, 16,326 stitches, and I worked on 21 projects. Now 16,000 stitches is the highest I have ever done in my lifetime, or as long as I've been counting stitches, so it will be my lifetime pretty much, because before I counted stitches I didn't stitch anywhere near as much as what I do now. So that's pretty impressive. Now, out of that 16,376, I did 13,626 just on my full coverage. So really, really, really happy with that, because that does mean that some of those got some nice progress. So the average stitch count per day for the month of February was 585 stitches. The highest stitch day was 809 stitches, and the lowest was 270. And I stitched for 28 days of the month, which meant I stitched every day of the month. Now, I'm not quite sure how I should do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run through the stitches that we did on the different projects. Now, I'm not going to show you them because, in fact, I wonder if it's easier. This is my brain starting to work. What I might do is, rather than run through them all, because that's going to take time, right? 21 projects and giving you an update on everything, considering some of them are going to be in this update and others aren't, I'm going to see if I can be a little bit clever and put maybe a little slideshow in there. Or if not, at least a card, like an image of what I've stitched on while we're talking. So yeah, that might be an easier thing to do, because I have a feeling if I start running through all of these, they're going to start getting jumbled up. It makes it hard when you don't always have visuals and stuff. So maybe I'll do that. It might mean that this might not get uploaded today, because I'm going to have to do some before and afters, but we'll see how we go. So hopefully that works. And if that works, that will be the way I will do my monthly updates all the time. So yes, so very, very happy that I got such a great numbers for the month of February. I will just quickly say though, in February, out of 21 projects I worked on, 5 I didn't update, that's naughty. I had 5 new starts and only 2 finishes, so I'm not liking those numbers in a sense, but they're cute projects. So for the weekly stats that I did for the last week is I stitched 4,122 stitches and I worked on 10 projects. Now last week I did have 2 new starts and no finishes. So having said that, now my yearly stats are looking like total stitches 32,503 with 29 projects worked on, and I've had 9 new starts and 6 finishes. So we now are 3 starts ahead of the finishes. So I need to start getting some finishes. I need to get some finishes to bring that back into line. I don't like this. I want it here, nice and even. Or better still, finishes sort of way up here and starts a bit lower. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So yeah, so that's a quick overview of what we've done. So I'm still, the week before last, on my last video, that is still my highest weekly stitch for the year, and the 25th of January which is 859 stitches in the day, is still my highly daily stitch count. So I haven't beaten those yet, but I am still quite happy with the way it's all gone. So yeah, so 16,000 odd stitches for February in 28 days is pretty impressive, right? I beat January's because I only did 13,000 in January, so quite impressed with that. So shall we have a look at the usual suspects and go for a frolic through my whips? So this will be the weekly update on the whips I worked on this week. So then we'll move into some other stuff, but we're starting off with what I worked on this week. So let's go frolicking through the whips. First one up, as I mentioned, it's the usual suspects. So the first one is the HAED Sale 2026 Fairytale, and the artist of this is Dragon Muse. I work on this every day at this point in time, and I have done so far since the 1st of January when I started it. Currently, what was I going to say? Currently, doesn't matter. So yes, so this is where it's at the moment. It is stitched on 25 count easy guide 1/1 full cross. The chart size is 225 wide by 394 high, which is a total of 88,650 stitches. I have a goal for this to get my 6 pages. So when I get the 6 pages, which is a fair way off, we'll see what we do later on. But to get that, I need to do around 3,700 stitches a month. So yes, so it's well and truly getting there. I'm pleased with my progress so far. So in the last week, I've done 877 stitches. When you last saw it, which was last week, I was sitting at 8,946 stitches completed at 10.09%. I am now sitting at 9,823 stitches completed for 11.08%. So I've jumped up to 11% now, which is really good. I'm really pleased with that. But I still got to do another 34,922 stitches or thereabouts to get my 6 pages. So, and I haven't completed a page yet, even though, I've definitely gone into page 2 well and truly. So we should get 2 pages hopefully completed reasonably quickly. Now, I'm going to just pop that to that side because, no I'm not, because I need that to open that up. I forgot to open up. So where have I stitched? I pretty much stitched all over the place. I'll put up obviously the before picture for what it was last week, but I have really been really trying very hard to get all of this filled in, and you'll see that there's been quite a bit of fill in here and fill in around here and fill in a bit of fill in over here. So I'm trying very, very hard to get a page done really quickly, if I can. I've still got some little stitches here and there I've got to do on that side, but mainly because I'm only doing it for about an hour and a half every night, I sort of try and get a color that's pretty bulky. It's not bulky, but you know, I still got to move around all over the place, but I'm just trying to get a color that each time that I can get some pretty good stitches on and get it done. But this is what it's at now. So I'm very, very pleased with that. If I hold it here for a second, I can hopefully put a before picture somewhere next to it and you'll see how much I did for the week. So yes, really, really pleased. I love the way this brickwork's starting to come out. It looks amazing. So clever. So my plan is just to keep filling all of this in and keep filling that in, and then once I get to here, I'll work across again. Maybe, I don't know yet. I've got to get at least 2 pages done, and then I can work out whether I move the Q-snap and go down, go across, whatever. So yeah, we'll work it out from there. But yeah, I'm very happy with the progress so far on that one, for where we're at for this point in time. Oh, okay. We have got the next one. Now, this is 6 portals. Did I tell you that was, I must have told you it was Heaven and Earth Designs, but this one, it's pretty obvious if it's the HAED sale, right? So 6 portals. So this is the full 6 portals. This is my biggest chart that I'm currently stitching on. It is charted by Paine Free Crafts and the artist is Rose Catherine Carr. I started, I'm going to go all croaky. I started on the 2nd of November 2025, and through 2025 I just went straight across. So I went through all 6 portals, doing scattered stitches, attempting to do about 1,000 stitches on it at a time, because I gave myself enough time to get hopefully 1,000 stitches. Of course, things being things, that didn't quite happen. But I did get across to the whole 6 portals, so I was really happy with that. In January, I did portal number 6, and then in February, I focused on portal number 5. And for March, I'm focusing on portal number 4. So I have taken it off the Q-snap, so it'll make it a little bit easier to show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to just show you portal 5 for now. So this is all portal 5. It's still bulky, but I'll open it up a bit more in a minute. So this is stitched on 32 count easy guide 1/1, and it is 1206 wide by 800 high, which gives you a total stitch count of 964,800 stitches. So yeah, my biggest chart. I did 579 stitches in the last week. Out of that, I did a couple hundred on portal number 4 here on Sunday, which was the 1st of March, but all of that was in portal 5. So I did 1,264 stitches in total for February, and 200 stitches so far for March. And I forgot to tell you the stats for February for the HAED sale. I'll go back to that in a second. And in total, we have now stitched in 2026 on this 3,056 stitches. And since I started it, I have completed 6,902 stitches. So I'm currently sitting at 0.72%. When I showed you last week, I was at 0.66%. So yeah, quite happy that I managed to put in some decent stitches and to go up to another point on the percentage chart. So this is all portal 5. So if I bring it in here, so this is the February progress. So I will put a picture up to show you what I did, and then this is going to be the March one. Now we are now going to try and unravel a little bit. I don't know how successful this is going to be, because as you know, it is quite large. So here we go. So this is portal 6, 5 and 4. Let's see if I can try and do it this way. Okay. So that is those portals. So the big purple one at the end is portal 6, and then portal 5, and then, oops, portal 4, which is where I'm going to focus for March. Now, if we turn it around to the other side, and all of a sudden it falls down everywhere, we have 1, 2, and 3. So that's what I did last year. And when we opened it all up, oh dear, I don't know what you can see because I can't see nothing. It is so big. So yes. So this will be the starting point, pretty much, now going forward. Let's just do it this way. It's so big, my shoulders do not like this at all. So as I said, I've done 200 already in March in portal 4, and I had to do that because this was called last week for the Down Under Divas deck of whips. So I completed my stitches for February, and then I managed to have enough room on the Q-snap to do 200 of the blue in portal 4, because I didn't want to do March, because unfortunately I had to do it on Sunday, which was the 1st of March. I didn't want to do March stitches on February. I really did want to keep it as clean as I can to make sure it's right. So there we go. So this will be the starting point pretty much going forward for this month. So yeah. I do enjoy stitching on this. It is very, very, very enjoyable. Now that's going to just pop over the side there for now. I'll hide it there. Cool. So as I said, I'll just very quickly go back. So the total number of stitches I did in February on the HAED sale was 4,058 stitches, which means I'm ahead of my monthly goal of 3,729, and I've completed 240 stitches so far for March, because we've had 2 days of March. Moving on now to the next one, which is in the class of usual suspects. Okay, back again. So the next usual suspect is my Friday weekly stitch. This is Flamingo and Flowers, and this one is charted by Stitches So Beautiful. The artist is Eder Rosa. I started this on the 6th of June 2025. It is stitched on 25 count easy go 1/1 full cross. The chart size is 160 wide by 400 high, which is a total of 64,000 stitches. My goal for the year is to try and get this to 50%, so to try and get 32,000 stitches in total completed. I've got about 19,800 to do between now and the end of the year to do that goal. So this week I managed to do 336 stitches, and I completed 1,285 stitches in total for the month of February. When you saw it last, it was sitting at 11,822 stitches, or 18.47%. It is now sitting at 12,158 stitches, or 19%. So we've increased it by another % in the last week, so that's really cool. Total stitches so far for 2026 is 2,705 stitches. And mainly my working this week was in here. So I have done a whole lot of 939 and stuff and whatever, but I now need to do some working around here. So as you'll notice, there was a whole lot of part threads that I have started stitching in, and I'm now coming over here to start stitching in these part threads as well. So that is the mission at the moment, is to get all the part threads in and then start bringing that down. Of course, these are new part threads for where I have been working. So I'll just come down another couple of rows, fill that in, and then keep working down. So eventually I'll get down to here. So that's where this is sitting at. Just looks so good. So this one I do stitch on every Friday or Saturday in order to get a minimum of 250 stitches a week on it. It's gonna be one of those days. Yes, so Stitches So Beautiful sale. So every month, the Stitch is So Beautiful on their business page, there is a sale. Minimum stitches required to participate is 250 full stitches once a week or 510 stitches. So basically sign up in the post that you see on their business page, send them an email to say you're participating, so they've got your email address to send you the chart at the end of the month, and stitch away. And as long as you remember to post at the right time, you are in the running. This month's one is, and I did save a picture, is a leprechaun. Yes, it is a leprechaun, so I'll pop the picture up there. So yeah, typical little leprechaun for 17th March being St. Patrick's Day. So very cool. So yes, this will come out again on Friday, and I'll just continue to work in this area, do those park threads in there, just slowly bring all of this down again, because that way I can then move the Q-snap and I can get down to what's underneath. Right. Okie dokie. So the next one we're going to look at is a long winter's nap. So a long winter's nap is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artist is Dona Gelsinger. I started this on the 22nd of December 2024. It is stitched on 28 count easy guide, 1/1 full cross, 400 wide by 314 high for 125,600 stitches. You saw this last week, and at that point I was sitting at 7,035 stitches completed for 5.60%. This week I added in another 365 so that I could get 1,000 stitches for the month of February on it, and I did complete that. So I ended up with 1,070 stitches completed in February. Total stitches so far for the year is 1,382 stitches. I am now sitting at 7,400 stitches for 5.89%. So very, very happy to have got my 1,000 stitches, and the 300 odd that I did this week was mainly in the little bow that's here, and I did put a couple of stitches up in here because I had some thread to that was here that ended up going up into here, but mainly I was working in the bow for this week. This one will come out again on the 25th of the month because I try to work on this on the 25th of every month. I do have a monthly goal of this of 1,000 stitches, but yeah, probably won't happen. And my yearly goal is 15%. So I'm going to go and try and get 1,000 stitches on this when it comes out this month. It'll just be a matter of having it hopefully out for 2 or 3 days and seeing how far I get, and just make it a little mini focus for the month to get that. So to get to my 15% goal though, I still need to do another 11,000 stitches for the year. So I do need to get some stitches in to make sure I get that goal. But happy with it as it is looking now. So that's where that one's at. Not much more to say on that one. Wine shelf. What did I do with wine shelf? Oh, it's here. Okay. So the next one we pulled out, which technically is a usual suspects now, but I've put it in the wrong spot on my notes, so it's not quite in the usual suspect boat, but it's there. So this is a Storykeep wine shelf, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artist is Aimee Stewart. I started this on the 3rd of August 2024. It is stitched on 25 count easy guide 1/1 full cross. The chart size is 112 wide by 329 high for a total of 36,848 stitches. You saw this a couple of weeks ago, and at that point I was sitting at 4,384 stitches completed for 11.90%. I've picked this up for March. I didn't do anything more in February than what you saw in the last video update, and I picked it up again on the last two days, the 1st and 2nd of March, and completed 407 stitches on it. So we're currently sitting at 407,000 stitches for the month of February. And where did I have my February stats for this? I'll tell you how many stitches I did in February. For Wine Shelf in February, I did a total of 1,224 stitches. So really, that wasn't bad. I was quite pleased on that. Didn't get quite as much as I planned, but I'm still pleased that I got 1,200 stitches in it. So we're now sitting at 1,883 stitches completed for 2026. And in total, I have done 4,791 stitches, and I'm sitting at 13%. So I have jumped up to 13%. So very, very happy with that. This is my focus on a finish full coverage fanatics. To do that, I need to get a minimum of 2,800 stitches a month. It's not going to happen, but I'm going to see how far I get this month on it. And in the hope that at least if I can try and get 100 stitches a day. That's what I was doing in February, and then I missed a few days. Whereas so far this month I'm actually ahead of where I should be. Come on, lie down. So yes, so all I've done is I've been working in the bottle. Now, you'll notice there's a bit of a gap here. The reason being is in Whip Warriors, they are doing a lions versus lambs event for March, which is a full coverage event. And within that, so all your full coverage would just post in that number of stitches that you do for the month. But also they're going to do a weekly challenge. Now the weekly challenge stitches are not to be double dipped with the other stitches that you're doing for the event. So these will be standalone stitches. Now these ones, we don't know what they're going to be until they pop out. So yesterday, before I picked this up, I happened to notice that the weekly challenge for that event was to stitch on 5 10 by 10 blocks for a total of 500 stitches. They had to be clean 10 by 10 blocks. So I tried to work out what would be the best thing to do, and then I thought, well, I'll do this because that's reasonably a clean start. So this is everything I did last night from here. So basically all of this here. Now, the big problem with what I'm doing here is, of course, is that colour does extend across here. So I'm hoping I'm not going to end up with a line from doing that, because normally I would feather or complete the row of colour, not actually hit the hard line. So I am really hoping that that's not going to cause me a line issue, but see what happens. Hopefully it won't. So yeah, so 200 odd stitches yesterday, just by doing that. So I've got to get 500 in these. So my plan is to work on two down, and then that one will be my 5th one. And I chose those because they are basically, at least these 4 are pretty much 2 colours. So that should get that done really, really quickly. Be interesting to see what we do for the next challenges, but yeah. So the other 200 stitches I did was just in those colours there. So that's where that's at. Looks quite good, that bottle. Looks pretty impressive. So to actually get this finished for the year though, I've still got to do another 32,000 odd stitches. Oh well, we'll see how we go. But yeah, it'd be nice if it got finished. I don't know if it will. We're going to try. If we don't, we don't. It's not going to be an issue. It'll be next year's finish. Focus on a finish. Okay. Haunted house. Where's haunted house hiding? Haunted house. So I did pull out haunted house. I pulled it out on Saturday. So on the 28th, I knew that I had a couple of whips that only had a couple of, like 100 stitches that needed doing to finish a goal. So Long Winter Snap was one of them, Haunted House was another. So I basically just pulled them out and just did it because I wanted to get the goal. I didn't want to leave those goals not done. So this one is Haunted House, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Artist is Dona Gelsinger. started on the 24th of December 2023, stitched on 28 count Lugana 1/1 full cross. The chart size for this is 625 wide by 833 high for a total of 520,625 stitches. You saw this a couple of weeks ago when I did my 13th stitching. So I always stitch on this on the 13th of every month. And at that point we were sitting at, in total for this project, 15,192 stitches, or 2.92%. I added another 108 stitches this week, which meant that I had completed 342 stitches for the month of February in this one, and 643 stitches in total for the year. Now, I'm a little bit behind my goal for this. My goal for 2026 is to get to 5%, which means I need to have completed a total of 26,000 stitches. My monthly goal is 948 stitches, so you can see I need to get some significant work into this because I'm now behind already for the year, but never mind. I'm now sitting at 15,300 stitches in total, or 2.94% for this project. All I did for my 108 stitches is basically filled in some more in around here. Can't remember exactly. Where's my picture? Where's my picture? Probably won't be able to see. Where did I work? It's always so hard to see it. Oh, yep, there. So basically in this area. So yes. So working towards another page finish, because there is a page around here. And the reason I've got all this black branches, I had a challenge last year where I needed to do black stitches, so I just went and did all the black. So I'm hoping that they are all in the right place, because not gridded, it was a bit of a guessing game in places, but for the most part I think we got it right. So that's where that one is. So that's all of my full coverage that's not related to my stitching games. So now we're going to move on to a couple of new starts. So I talked about a couple of times, excuse me a sec. I did talk about the Whipgo Seek and Stitch and some ideas that I had to complete some of the prompts. One of the prompts was going to be for a bed. I was going to start the Christmas Lucy Heaton design with the mouse sitting in a bed. Well, I didn't get to do that, but I found something else that covered that one. And then I ended up doing a new start for a teddy bear. So that's what these two are. So the first one we did, and I will have to put the pictures up for this because I haven't printed them off. They're basically digital copies that I have got from the Readly app, from the magazine on the Readly app. So either the Readly app or the Libby app, you can get digital copies of these magazines. So the teddy bears are a set of 4 cards from Lesley Teare, and they came out of the Cross Stitch Favourites magazine, Christmas 2025. And there's been 4 bears. I sort of had to think about which one I like, because I like all 4, and I think at some point I'm probably going to do all 4, but at the moment I've just done one. So the one I chose to start with was the bear holding the bone. That way up. Yep, that way up. These are, oh no, it's a bit big, little too. So I just grabbed some Eder that I had. And, you know, I don't usually stitch on Eder, but I went into my stash and I went, you know what, there's all this white Eder, I might as well start using it. And technically these are going to be cards if I ever turn them into a card. So the Eder is much easier to work with if I'm going to do a card anyway. So this is my starting point, and this was 209 stitches to complete that prompt. So you can see this is the bone and the bow and the pink of the shirt. So yeah, so yes, it is a bit big, but I would need it to fit on the Q-snap, so I gave myself a little bit of extra margin. So very, very pleased with that. Now, given how that was used for a prompt, I don't know when that'll come back out again. We'll see how we go. It may or may not come out. I would like to try it because it's only little, so I might try and get it finished this year, but we'll see. But yes, so that was my teddy bear prompt. Now, the other prompt, as I mentioned, was a bed. So I decided not to start, even though I've kitted up the other one, I've decided not to start it because I found this. So this is also a card, and this is a one called Have a Speedy, at least that's what I'm calling it, Have a Speedy Recovery. So basically they're get well cards, designed by Rhona Norrie, and they come out of the Ultimate Cross Stitch Cards Volume 13 2017 magazine. Again, this I have a digital version of this, and I've started and have 218 stitches. Sorry, that way. Again, just on 14 count, white Eder. So that's my 218 stitches. So it's a little teddy, what is it? Mouse. It's going to be a mouse sitting in a bed with, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Hope it's not for a blood transfusion, but it's pink. So those were my two new starts. So 218 stitches on that one last week. I don't know when you'll see it again. These will eventually go into my temperature stitching as well. So they'll become part of the temperature stitching, or if I decide to do any other games later in the year, I'll be adding those to that as well. Two new starts. Looks like they're fine. Now, let's go on to the stitching games. So I do apologise, I've got a very itchy nose. So, nothing on my Ashes stitching. What's new, huh? What's new? Temperature stitching. I did not do very well on my temperature stitching this week. I was supposed to work on Minnie Mouse and Mini Paris Morning and start Santa's Express. None. So those are all still outstanding. Yes, what can I say? Hopefully I'll get to them. But we are now in a new month of temperatures. So, just 2 seconds, I'm going to go blow my nose. Oh, back again. Yes, so we now have a new lot of temperature stitching. The 4 whips that were picked for my temperatures are Mini Kits and Freebies, which is the last number of 0, 4 and 9, Little Angel Christmas card. A full coverage focus one is World Travel Bookshelf, and that will come up for numbers 1, 5 and 8. Christmas Awning New Start is a new start Santa's Helper, which is the March, well, it's my wild card for the March new start for the Just Cross Stitch magazine sale challenge on Facebook in the group that I'm in. And that's for numbers 2 and 6. And then numbers 3 and 7 is the Haven't Touched in Years, and we have Rococo Ladies. Now, I forgot to say, Siska Stitch has started the temperature stitching. The way of using the temperature numbers for your temperature, and it's been adapted obviously by other stitches in different ways. The way I'm doing it is I have 4 categories where I've allocated the last number, so 0 to 9, to a whip for the month. And those numbers I look at once a week to see, so like today, I look at what's the projected temperature for the next week for here in my area, and put that down, and then depending on what that last number is what becomes my whip that I should be working on for 50 stitches per day that it gets drawn. So where we're at so far is we had 2 days and now or 3 days because today. So now we've got tomorrow 35, Wednesday Thursday 35, Friday 36, Saturday 36, Sunday 33, and Monday 39, which gives us a couple for World Travel Bookshelf, a couple for the New Start Santa's Helper, Rococo Ladies, and a little angel card. So I need to show you those because you haven't seen those yet. Obviously World Travel Bookshelf and Santa's Helper is a new, well, World Travel Bookshelf. I need to do that anyway for my Ashes stitching. So I'm really pleased that that came up on the wheel when I spun the wheel for that one. So I can get some work on that and hopefully do enough to knock off the Ashes stitching for that. And the Santa's Helper is the wild card. So I will put a little picture up of that. That's really quite cute. It's a little mouse one. So that's really quite cute. Little angel card. Now, little angel card is very, very old. I'll also try and do some work on Minnie Mouse if I can, but I'm not gonna get overly excited about that. So little angel card, whoops, is this one here. So this came out of a Cross Stitch Collection magazine, and I have no idea what year. There's nothing on it, no issue, no year, nothing. I don't think it's on here either, is it? No, nothing. I will have a look on my blog and see if I happen to make a note of it. I doubt it because I started this, oh, I might have done. This is 11th of January 2016 I started this. The artwork is Betty Davis. And it's a little bit of a closer up. Now, it looks like a lot, but as I realised today when I was looking at it, that's not stitched. All that is the background, the back stitch around her little dress. So the arm stitched, that's obviously stitched. That's stitched, the feet are stitched, the face. The wings aren't stitched except for this little bit here. So none of that white is stitched, which is really good. Now, the problem is I have no idea which way is up. I'm guessing it's that way. Not very easy to see. Actually, there's a white card in here. Let's do this. It comes with a little card mount to put it in when you've done it. So let's put it, no, see, that's a bit easy. I think that's the right way because I think that's her hair and her face and her mouth. So that's all I've done, so not very much. So the kit is 18 count Eder, and as far as I'm aware, it is DMC thread. So we'll see how we go with that. So that's come up a couple of times. We will see how we go. But given there's not a huge amount of stitching in it, it might actually, who knows, maybe my next finish. That'd be good. So yes, this one's been around a little bit too long. I will put that back in here so I don't lose all of that thread. So I'm not really sure. Hopefully I've got it somewhere in what year it came out, but given it probably sat in my stash for a number of years before I even started it. Okay, I've worked, so on the back of this, it does talk about last month's issue being issue number 72. So this came out of issue number 73. So it would have been at January, but it just doesn't tell me what year. Have a useful end of in the 2001 issues. Okay, so it may be that it came out in 2002 or thereabouts. Yeah. So that's the little angel card. Now, Rococo Ladies. So Rococo Ladies is this one here. So this is a soda stitch. I really loved a soda stitch many years ago and sort of bought a few. Didn't start many, but did really enjoy it. There was a time when a lot of people on Flosstube and whatnot were stitching soda stitch. I started this one on the 16th of April 2017. I don't think I got very much. I think I've bought it out a couple of times sort of over that period of time, but not done very much. It is stitched on a 32 count Belfast, 4 pieces by Colour Cascade Fabrics. So this is the fabric That's a lovely pinks and blues and stuff. Now that's the fan. I've just got to work out. That's her fan pointing. Okay, so go that way. So that's my starting point for this one. I have no idea how many stitches are in that, a couple of hundred probably. So yeah, I have a very, 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 very long way to go. So we'll see how far we get. Now, as I've mentioned before, I've really not enjoyed working on Belfast recently. So it's going to be interesting to see how I go on this. But that's my starting point. Would like to get some stitches into it. So the one that I'm actually working on is this one here. So you can see that's her fan and the blues into her dress. See how we go. See how we go. So that's it. So that's the temperature stitching. New month, new excitement. Okie dokie. So bake-off stitching. Now, bake-off stitching, I was working on Quarantine Cats, and then when I finished the bake-off stitches, I was moving that to Sewing Bee. I have now completed the stitches on Quarantine Cats for both bake-off and Sewing Bee, so I'm very, very happy with that. Oops, wrong one. So when you saw it last week, I was almost done with the bake-off. So I finished the bake-off stitching, and then I did the 500 for the Sewing Bee stitches. So this is Quarantine Cats, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is Brigid Ashwood. I started this on the 25th of December 2020. This is my very, very, very first full coverage. So it really should have a lot more work on it than it does. It is stitched on 25 count Lugana, 1/1 full cross. Chart size is 675 wide by 506 high for a total of 341,550 stitches. When you saw it last week, and I'll have to move over here a little bit, when you saw it last week, I had completed in total 24,842 stitches on this for a total of 7.27%. This week I did another 608 stitches, and for the month of February I completed 1,017 stitches. So really pleased I got 1,000 stitches on that. My monthly goal for this is 526, so I didn't do anything in January, so I have now done my stitches for 2 months, so really happy with that. And that means I've only done 1,017 stitches in 2026. We are now sitting at 25,450 stitches, or 7.45% on this project, and my actual goal for the year is to hit 9%, so there is a good chance I can do that. I've only got to get another 200 stitches or thereabouts to do it. So yes, I have completed the Sewing Bee and bake-off stitching on this, but I will make sure this comes out again and for some more work. So all I've done is worked in here. Now this might be easy if I do it this way. So I have come down to here, and pretty much this is the chandelier that's going to come in here, and then there's the cat hanging. So this is what I'm trying to do, is get all of this window, this is the night sky, so like that, get all of this in so that I can start having some cat to stitch on. Love it. Again, it was quick stitching because it was all just a couple of colours. So very happy with my progress on that. So I pulled this out, I think on Saturday. This was one of the ones that only had like 100 stitches or something I wanted to get done to finish off the challenge, or to get the goal for the month. So I made sure I worked on it for the month. So for bake-off, now that I've finished the bake-off stitching on that, I want to pull out Into the Woods for this month and get that. I only have 300 stitches to knock off on that, so I want to get that one done. And then for Sewing Bee, because I've now finished the Quarantine Cats, I've got to finish the Proverbs one, and then I will possibly bring out Mini Reading by Firefly Light. So we'll see how we go. I'm not sure yet, but we'll just see what it comes to next one. So I didn't work on Proverbs though this week. Now Whipgo. So we are now going to have a quick chat about Whipgo. I have no idea what my time is because I stopped recording a little while ago and started a new video, and that's now at half an hour. So this will be interesting. So the draw for March for Whipgo, for me, well, the draws were blocks 4 and 3 in the way they were drawn. So block 3 is the bookshelf by Little House Needlework. So I have a goal on that to finish it. Be nice if I pulled that out this month. I probably won't. And also number 4 was Kangaroo Santa, which was a finish. I've finished that. So my board looks like this. As you can see, I have 2 green blocks now, which means the project has been finished. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 yellows, which need to be worked on and get those goals completed. Okay, we're going to go run through it very quickly with our plans for March. So the daily 30 group, the acrostic is daffodils with an asterisk because daffodils is only 9 letters, so the asterisk is your wild card for the 10th letter. So my plan so far is the D is for dragon, so that's going to be 6 portals. The A for Aimee will be wine shelf. The F will be freak, being the chart title. The next F is flamingo, being the chart title and or there's a flamingo in the chart. O will be orange leaves, because not orange leaves, or it could be orange leaves in Haunted House, or it could be orange flowers in Flamingo and Flowers. Then we have another D. So I'm going to go Dona Gelsinger for that, and that will be a long winter's nap. I being icy cold, so that's 6 portals again, because portal number 5 is icy cold. That's an icy cold theme, and you can have a theme one as well. L, not sure yet. S will be Stewart, as in Aimee Stewart, so that's wine shelf again. And then I have a free choice, which I haven't chosen my free choice letter as yet. The smalls and ornament along event for the month. The holiday ornament is your free choice, so that'll be either Santa's Helper or Santa's Express, because whichever one I get started first, that'll be that one, because both of those are Christmas. The seasonal now has moved to spring, so I may have a new start, which we'll talk about in a minute for that one. The freebie magazine, or the gifted one, is going to be Little Angel Christmas card, so I'm going to hope to get that finished. The smalls is people and places, so I'm not sure about that one. I haven't got anything for that one, so that might be a miss this month. And then Bring on the Beads is animals, so I'm using Into the Woods for that one because the cats are on that one. So that's where we're at with the daily 30. So there's still the yearly one going on in the background, which is the Olympics. So I'm still working through those with the whips I've chosen to use for that, which is the three whips, which is Deskin's, Fairytale, and Brush with Magic. So those ones I don't use across the acrostic because I'm trying not to do the double dipping. Okay. Full coverage fanatics, bingo. Now February bingo, I didn't get my line. We were a bust. I did manage, I think, to get 5 ones done. So what I'll do is I'll put up a little picture to show you the boxes that I did complete. But we're now going to talk about March because, you know, February's gone. No. So there is, as usual, 25 boxes. I have managed, so I'll put the picture up and you'll see what my thinking is. So I haven't got anything for something feared. Rainbow, I'm sort of thinking 6 portals because pretty much every colour of the rainbow is in 6 portals. International Women's Day, I'm going to do Sonura maybe. Design starting with M-A or R, Mini Paris Morning. Clothes, World Travel Bookshelf. Design starting with E, M or C is Mistress of the Hunt, possibly. Leisure scene, wine shelf. What can be more leisurable than having a bottle of wine, sitting, looking out at a field of lavender? Green, mini reading by Firefly Light or Mistress of the Hunt. As both of those have got green, so I can do that. Smallest whip, the smallest whip I've got that's full coverage is actually surprisingly cat bookshelf. Then books, well, world travel bookshelf, because there's books in that. Animals, well, that's going to be probably a brush with magic. Quarantine cats will have something that flies because there's a bird in that. Free space, whip with the most colours, well, that's 6 portals. Someone you'd like to call, well, I'm picking a long winter's nap for that because the Santa reminds me of my dad. It'd be nice to be able to have a chat. Can't do that anymore. Then space, then daffodil, so could put something with some yellow flowers. I don't think I've got anything with daffodils. A toy, well, again, I could have quarantine cats because there's jigsaw puzzle in that. A design starting with C or B, well, I've put cat race down for now. Whether I get to that's another matter. Something you'd use a rubber band on, not sure yet. Something tall, well, Mini Paris Morning has got the Eiffel Tower, that's definitely tall. A dangerous scene, don't know, maybe something with the dragons for 6 portals, but yeah. Red, white or blue, well, again, anyone that's got those colours. A painting and trees, well, this wine shelf has got trees. So that's my thinking so far, without going too far into it. Down under Divas. So this week, the card that was drawn was the 10 of clubs. So the whip that I need to work on for 500 stitches before Sunday, or by Sunday, is a brush with magic. So I'll be working on that this week as well. The March Alphabet Challenge for Down Under Divas. We are looking at E and F. So a title starting with E or F, I've got Freak and also Fairytale. So I need to get 2,000 stitches on both of those. That shouldn't be too hard to do. I haven't picked a colour, E or F. Design and name starting with E or F. Well, we've got Eder, Jose, Rosa. So Flamingo and Flowers for 1,000 stitches. Again, easy to do. And then repeat either 3 or 4 for another 1,000. So I'm choosing repeating the designer name and using E for Joan Elliott. So Winter Welcome. I haven't got anything yet for Easter, but I've got a plan. E for Egg, Proverbs, because the eggs are in the bottom of that. There's cats hatching out of the eggs. E for Eye, well, I need to get some work on Mini Paris Morning, so I'm just going to say that you can see her eyes. F for Fish, World Travel Bookshelf for 500. F for Flower, World Travel Bookshelf for 500. And I haven't got anything with a flag. So that's my divas. Okay, Stitch and Seek for Whip Warriors. So, number 1 is the lion. So I'm bringing out the Fisher King for that because there's a lion in that. I didn't think I had a lion until I looked at that and I thought, there's always a lion somewhere in a long dog sampler. And yeah, there is. So, yeah. Shamrock and Cloverleaf. Now, that might be a new start. So I recently discovered Primrose Cottage. Yeah, I know, late to that bandwagon, wasn't I? And I have now signed up for their newsletter, which means once a month they send out a free chart. And the one that they sent out during February was called Lucky, which has actually got a shamrock, is green, and very much sort of fits in with St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to use that if I get to start that. A door, well, I can find any whip with a door that's got a door. A beard and moustache, I'm using Long Winter's Nap because Santa's got a beard. Pot of Gold. Now, I went for a search because I had a feeling I had this and I found it. Many, I don't know how many years ago, I bought this chart and I've never stitched it. I've got a few of these and I've never stitched any of them. So this is Scatter Luck. This is a shepherd's bush. And in this, there is a pot of gold. There is also a rainbow, which is another one of the prompts. So I will be starting this at some point this month to get those. So I want the pot of gold and the rainbow prompt, which I can knock off on this really easily. Very happy with that. There's also, this is actually a button. So obviously I won't be stitching the man with the bowler hat because I don't have any, but there's a couple of other buttons. There's buttons here as well, so I won't have any of those buttons, but I'm going to at least do the stitches on it and see how far I get. There is a shamrock or a clover leaf here, so it may be I just use this for that prompt as well. And there's enough green in this that I could probably use the colour green, which is also a prompt for that as well, but we'll see how we go, because I would like to start that Primrose Cottage, but we'll just see. So yes, so pot of gold, colour green and rainbow, potentially all knocked off with one chart. So 400 to 600 stitches on the one chart, that'd be great. Now beer is another prompt, obviously for Guinness, being Irish. I haven't got anything with a beer. I did have a squiz. There's some Father's Day type charts I could start with a beer. So I just told hubby when he went out earlier to go and buy some beer so I can take a photo with a bottle of beer with my whip. So that will knock that one off. Rainbow, as I mentioned, we've got dealt with. Top hat or bowler. So that I'm going to use Fisher King for, because there is a couple of people and items with top hats, especially the man sitting on the carriage. He's got a top hat on. So that. Now harp is the only one I'm struggling with. So that's the 10th prompt. I haven't got anything for that. So that's the one I'm really struggling with. I spent most of yesterday going through magazines looking for something with a harp. I found lots of different sort of things that don't really look like a harp, but there is one that I could start that's just a heart, like in a little motif, or I could just do the penalty on that one and not stress. As I mentioned, Lion versus Lambs is also going on in Whip Warriors. Semi-Satin stitches. So we have got the calendar sale, which I've managed to actually do some work on. So for the calendar sale event, I chose to take one chart and split it into 12 areas and then stitch on those for about 1,000 stitches a month. I didn't do anything in February, but I managed to do 420 stitches in the last 2 days, so quite pleased with that. So the last time you saw this was at the end of January, and I'd only completed 379 stitches. I'm now sitting at 799 stitches in total. And what am I talking about? Winter's Welcome. So Winter Welcome is charted by, it's a Joan Elliott design. It came out of the Cross Stitch Collection January 2011 magazine. You can get this also on her website now, you can buy it. It is stitched on 28 count Opal Brittany Argyle Coast from Jodery Designs. It was her February 2020 limited edition. As I mentioned, I had done 379 stitches in January and nothing in February, and I've done 420 stitches. So you'll see that I have done all of this pretty much over here, filled in that, and been working on this window which has got the birds. So and I have gone up into the block above only because I wanted to finish the thread, but I'm trying to stick to, I can now go straight across because I've got January and February, and March is also going to be down here. So yeah, I'm going to see how far I can get with this month to try and catch up a bit. But yeah, that's where this one's at. Just DMC 2/2 on 28 count, and there's the horrid quarter stitches. Great, lovely, not, but it does look gorgeous. It does look gorgeous. So that will come over. Whether I get up to it today, I don't know. I'm not quite 100% certain if I'm going to get to it today, but yeah. The stitching log, which is the Carolyn Manning design frig that I'm working on for that. So at the end of each month, I work out what's 10% of the total number of stitches I completed for the month. For February, I did 16,386 stitches. So for frig, I need to put in 1,638 stitches for the month of March. Well, to cover for the month of February. So that will come out at some point in the next couple of weeks because I want to get that started really quickly. I'm also unfortunately going to have a new start. Oh dear. So in Semi-Satin Stitches, every quarter for the change of the seasons, they do a start to finish sale essentially. And the spring one started on the 1st of March. I have chosen to do Spring Rolls, which is a Plum Street Samplers design. I want to get this started sooner rather than later because I will only have March, April and May to stitch it and get it finished to complete this event. I haven't picked my fabric yet and I haven't checked to see if I've got all of the threads because like where did February go? So yes, now this is very much an Easter design in the sense that the dog's got ears and that is a basket full of Easter eggs. So any Easter prompts I'm going to be using this for. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, that will be started. Now, they've also got 2 other events going on. Rainbow Connection, so you've got to stitch the colours of the rainbow in the order of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And then finish with a pot of gold, so some gold stitches. I've signed up to do that. I don't know if I will, because being the fact that I've got to think about doing in the colour, I won't. That's where I often fall over, because yeah, I don't think about that. And there's also, it's not easy being green, so a total of 1,000 stitches in green. So yes, you can see why I've sort of thought about bringing out Mistress of the Hunt and whatnot, because I can do green stitches on that. So that's pretty much where we're at. So next week, so this is my plans for this upcoming week. Obviously Fairytale, trying to do some more on one shelf every day. Flamingo and Flowers on Friday, 6 portals on the weekend. A brush with magic I need to do 500 stitches on between now and Sunday. The temperature stitching will be mainly Little Angel card, and if I feel like it, maybe Minnie Mouse. Bake Off Whip is Into the Woods. Proverbs Whip is for sewing bee, and we'll see if we can get some stitches into World Travel Bookshelf. And possible new starts will be this one or one of the Santa's Express or Santa's Helper, I'm not sure yet. We'll just see how we go. Now, I am very close to, this is going to be a long one. I'm going to quickly run through my books that I've read in February. I did manage to get a total of 5 books read in February. So since my last update on my books though, I did finish When Shadows Fall by Neil Lancaster. I finished that on the 31st of January. So in February, the books I read are Murder at an Irish Wedding by Carleen O'Connor. So this is another one in the series that I started reading last month or the month before. This one, The Spirit of Scutari by Lesley Crew. This was interesting. So this is based on an island of Canada. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. When I first started reading, I'm like, I don't know if I'm enjoying this. I couldn't work out where this was going to go, what it was going to be about. But by the end of it, I loved it. It was such a sweet, sweet story. So essentially, it is a ghost telling the story. And it is lovely. It really is. You're sort of not sure how it's going to work, but it does eventually come in and focus on 3 children and their lives and how when they grow up. So it's really lovely, really, really sweet. It's set in a very harsh environment and set in after the war. No, after the war? Just before the war. Yeah, just on the cusp of the Second World War, because one of the lads goes off to war. So yes, set on the sort of around the late 1930s into the early 40s, and then when they come back from war and a little bit and stuff. So yeah, really, really sweet story. Then I found this other one. This was in my Libby app, and it was a one of the ones sometimes I put up in the Libby app you can try and get people to read it, because you get multiple copies of the book in the app. And this one was called Hot Ground, and it's by an author called Lisa Ellery. So when I looked at, I opened it up and had a look, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. It's actually, she's a WA author, and she lives up in Kalgoorlie. So she was born in around Esperance, which is down the bottom part of WA, and so she became a lawyer, moved to Kalgoorlie, started up her own law firm eventually in Kalgoorlie, still lives in Kalgoorlie with her husband who's a geologist. She doesn't have her law practice now because she gave that up to focus on writing books last year. And I think her first book came out in 2021. That's the one I'm currently reading now because I couldn't get it until now. and it's called Private Prosecution. So I'm reading that one now. And the one I read a couple of weeks ago was called Hot Ground. So both books are set in WA. Hot Ground is set mostly around Kalgoorlie, so it's quite interesting to read this book talking about places I've actually been to. And they come into Perth and talking about things on the terrace and going and get coffees and all these places and stuff. So it's like you're reading about things you know and you recognise the locations and the landmarks. Private Prosecution is set in Perth. And so the second book focuses on the female detective and is based on what happens in the first book. She gets sent to Kalgoorlie. So now I'm reading about what happened to why she got sent to Kalgoorlie to work. And the book I'm reading now is more about the male lawyer who's mentioned in the second book, but not as much. As the first book's about him, the second book's about her. So, but they're standalone books, so you can read them separately. But now that I'm reading the first book, I can see the things that they talk about in the second book, and they start to make a bit more sense. So very, very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable. It's nice to read about places that you know. It's quite weird. I'm reading it and going, oh yes, I've been to that place. I also read an Anne Cleeves book, The Burial of Ghosts. Was that right? Is that what it's called? Or The Ghost Burial? What is it called? Burial of Ghosts, yeah. This one was a little bit different to a normal Anne Cleeves. She actually wrote it a number of years ago and then it was re-released, I think, in 2022. It is written in basically the first person, so it is this girl who is telling a story. So like normal stories like Shetland and Vera and stuff, you know what's going on all over the place. This is just her point of view. So it's a narrow view of everything. It's what she's doing. It's how she's feeling and stuff. So I can't say it was Anne Cleeves. It was good, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I love the Shetland and the Vera books. So yeah. And then I read The Pitch House Murders, which is Fiona Veitch-Smith. Now, this is the first book in the series that I've read 2 or 3 other books of. And I finally managed to get hold of the first book. So now I'm read the first book. So the other books mention her uncle and passing away and everything. Now the first book is about all of that. So now I feel like I know what's actually happened and how she got together with the boyfriend and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so very, very good. So it's just a cute little mystery, cozy mystery type style. So yeah, so that's it. That's my books for February, and that's it. We are done. So this will be long. I might have to trim it. We'll see how we go. So I think there was anything else I meant to talk about. No, I think we're done. So I'm going to sign off now. See if I can get this edited and uploaded this afternoon. I'll do some before and after pictures for all of my February whips, so that I can, whether I put that at the beginning or put it at the end, so you can have a look at it should you desire to do so. But other than that, I'll be back next week for another weekly update. Thank you very much for joining me today and taking time out to listen to my ramblings and take a frolic through my whips. And I will be back same time, same channel next week. Thank you very much for liking, commenting and subscribing, and thank you for joining me. Catch you later. See ya. Bye.